Good evening. As you might be aware, today we trying to wrap up and get our assignment looked at. So it's going to be a session where we're going to look at the assignment discussion, where we would try and summarize all that is required in the assignment that we've been given. For the last few weeks, we've been looking at procurement and supply chain management. And like we said, this is a mandatory model which is graded on either a pass or fail. And the 4 learning outcomes were given onto us to look at. The first one was for us to understand the concept, context of procurement and supply chain. And under this, the assessment criteria that we have, 4 of them, for us to analyze sources of value addition in procurement, to be able to explain the main concepts of sourcing processes, to analyze the impact of organizational policies and procedures on procurement. Then the second learning outcome was for us to understand the application of tools and techniques for sourcing. And under this, the assessment criteria for us to be able to note is for us to be able to explain how cost and prices can be estimated for procurement activities. Then again, to explain the main processes used for obtaining quotations and tenders from suppliers. We also supposed to look at how to develop selection and award criteria with regards to selecting suppliers. Then finally, on that session, to be able to evaluate the role of technology enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of procurement. The third learning outcome was for us to understand the approaches to finalize contractual agreements with suppliers. And under this, we're supposed to look at the main types of contractual agreements between customers and suppliers, then to compare the types of approaches that can be pursued in commercial negotiations. And finally, to evaluate the main methods that can influence the achievement of desired outcomes. The last learning outcome was for us to understand the dynamics of relationship with suppliers. And under this, we're supposed to look at the portfolio analysis and to apply the techniques here in our relationship with our suppliers. Then also to be able to explain the main approaches to conflict resolution in commercial contracts. And finally, explain the techniques of for supplier relationship management. So these are the learning outcomes and the assessment criteria that goes with them. Based on this, we've been given the assignment, a scenario which says that you are employed as the Chief Operating Officer of Essex-based Export UK Limited, which is a fast-growing pharmaceutical company or any organization that is similar to this, either manufacturing, retailing, or logistics service provider. Apart from the domestic market, the company exports medicines to several European countries and hope to expand into Middle East and Far East. So that is the background. Now, the task that you are supposed to do is that you are tasked with revamping the supply chain to find alternative providers. You have a team of 10 employees who would do the groundwork. You are tasked with providing them a briefing so that they are ready to negotiate with the potential suppliers to secure favorable deals for the company. So that is the assignment. And here, the instruction that goes with this is in two parts. We're supposed to present this in two parts. The first part, which is part A, is looking at the learning outcome 1, then is covering all the assessment criteria for learning outcome 1, then also learning outcome 2. So it's important for you to note that these have been structured in such a way that if you are able to look at the learning outcomes for the first 2 lessons, you should be able to have enough information to do that. Then we also have the part B, which is also looking at learning outcome 3, then learning outcome 4. For the first part, you've been given the various points to look at. But one thing that you have to note right at the beginning is the structure that you're going to use for your assignment. And that is extremely important, that for this assignment, which is more of an essay, what is the format? What sort of structure are you looking at? Basically, supposed to be 3 areas. Yeah, so you have your introduction, which obviously will do all the definitions that is required, because the unit, it's a procurement and supply chain management. You have to take time to define what these means. So what is procurement? What is supply chain? So briefly, you give a definition of this and dive in a little bit into the meaning of these 2 concepts. Then after you've done that, you have to set out to tell the reader what you are going to do. So as part of the introduction, you should be able to let the reader know that, okay, the first part of your essay is going to cover, maybe part A is going to cover your learning outcomes, maybe 1 and 2. Then the second part is also going to cover the learning outcome 3 and 4. But you give details of what these are. So that is important. So at least you set out, the introduction, you've given your definitions, background to it, and you are also learning letting the reader know what you are setting out to do, so that they can follow you in your approach. Then you have to then have a body. So the body is where you are actually going to do your discussion, all the details that you need to talk about, the various sub headings that you have to talk about. And if you look at the assignment, the headings that you are supposed to cover have been enumerated. So you have 1, which you are supposed to analyze the different sources of value addition in procurement. Then 2 is to explain the aspects of sourcing processes. So all these have been given to you. So to pick each of them under each subheading, then you give your write-up under each of them. So that is going to be the body. Then after you've done that, you've done your part B, then you do the summary. So the summary is a conclusion, the conclusion of all the issues that you've raised, and be careful not to bring in any new information. It's just a summary of what you've discussed so far. what you said we are going to set out to do? Have you been able to achieve it? Have you been able to cover everything? So that is the summary. Yeah, so the structure is important. The introduction to start with, which covers the definition of the main terms, the key terminologies. You have to explain them, and also you have to give set out the format as to how you're going to present your work. Then you go into the body where you discuss the issues that have been raised, then you do your conclusion. So that is the structure. So the structure is extremely important. Then when it comes to the body itself, where you are trying to look at all these points, it's important. You've been given a scenario. So you've been told that you are the chief operating officer. You should be able to write along those lines. You write as if you are in the capacity of the chief operating officer, the one who looks after the operations, the operations of the business. Yeah, so if you are the chief operating officer for a company that has been specified, or a similar company that you want to use, you write in that capacity. So use the company as the case study that you are discussing. So it's not just going to be literature, but you use the company as the basis for all the discuss that you are making. So when it comes to a sort of supplier sourcing processes that you want to adopt, you have to use the Export UK as an example. That Export UK, for instance, have got the sourcing processes. But when it comes to policies and procedures, you have to come up with what relates to Export UK as a case study. So you don't write in abstract, just write with the company as the case study. But if you look at the assignment, you will see that the learning outcome is the main one, and all the issues that you are supposed to discuss are just the assessment criteria. So if you are able to look at the assessment criteria for each of them, you should be able to give a good write. For instance, let's take the first one, analyze the different sources of value addition. So if you look at the learning outcome one is what we are talking about. So analyze the different sources of value addition in procurement. Yeah, so if you go back to your notes and you will see that these are the things that we discussed during the meeting. Let me quickly bring up the first. Sorry to roll it up, but I just want to show you what we are talking about. So, I mean, the introduction talks about what procurement is all about. So you can have the definitions and other things that I mentioned from this side, what it's all about. Yeah, so if you look at it, analyzing the different sources of value addition in procurement, it's all in the lesson that we went through the during our sessions. So all the assignment is looking at is pick the information that you were able to grasp from the lessons and relate it to the the company that you are using as the case study and present it. So this is what I mean. So analyzing the different sources of value addition, for instance, you see that procurement, it's a little more than purchasing. Yeah, because procurement is more strategic compared with purchasing, which is transactional. Yeah, we are saying that procurement is strategic because it looks like at other things like researching into suppliers, going into proper negotiation, planning, and all that. So it goes a little further than what procurement is all about. A few things that you can also talk about here. So this is extremely important for you to look at that. Then again, a few other value issues that you can pick up in your discuss to make the your write-up quite a rich one. So that is the approach you have to look at when it comes to the like cost and prices. For instance, we did the cost and the price analysis. What are the difference? And we also looked at what each of them is used for. Price is the initial one, but when it comes to cost, we are saying that it looks like so many other factors, apart from just the price. So this is what you have to look at, that what Export UK considers as cost, as against what prices, and the advantage of them having the overall that or to select their suppliers is also extremely important. The supplier selection and the awards, that is also something that we mentioned. Explain the main process used for obtaining quotations and tenders for suppliers. I think we mentioned it. So you go back to the issue of request for information, request for quotation, request for proposal, all those concepts. You have to pick them into your write-up to show that definitely that is what Export UK is looking at, to be able to at least get the information and be able to assess and be able to arrive or settle on the right supplier who will be able to provide the supply that they want, at a very cost-effective form, which will eventually provide value for money and save the company cost. The role of technology, we've mentioned it, that the technology comes in to bring efficiency, it brings speed, it removes error and all that. So the role that technology plays is also something that you can talk about. That it helps to be able to process data quickly, and it takes away human error and all that. For the other bit of contractual agreements, we've spoken about the various types that you can use in doing your contracts. The first part is the supplier selection. That is extremely important for you to be able to settle on the right supplier. Then you now look at how you want to firm up a relationship with them. What are some of the approaches that you need to take? And these are all very important. The the portfolio analysis we've explained. So that is important for you to be able to pick the framework and use it to explain how you'll be able to do your segmentation for the products that you want to buy, and also the suppliers you want to engage. If you are talking about leverage products, what sort of relationship are you going to form with those preferred suppliers that you are dealing with? Yeah, if it's critical, what sort of strategic relationship do you want to deal with? If it's bottleneck, yeah, as much as it's not a big value of your spend, you still need to take advantage of bulk purchases and creating a relationship with a supplier who has it, so that when prices are stable, you'll be able to at least acquire as much as you can. So these are some of the things that you should be looking at. Then supplier conflict resolutions, we've mentioned a lot of them, from simple negotiation through mediators and arbitrators, and eventually if you have to go legal. So these are pretty straightforward. You can see that it follows all the assessment criteria that we were given, and all these have been explained. Yeah, each of them has been explained. So just pick all of them and just write in detail for each of them. But be mindful that you've got just 4,500 words, fine, excluding the table of contents. You would get good marks if you're able to bring in frameworks to explain some of the concepts that you are talking about. So if you bring in concepts and frameworks that will be able to at least guide and explain some of these things, that will give you a lot more. Yeah. On this, I know that this one is a pass and a fail, but I think it's important for you to have a very good pass. So you are not only just looking at just passing, but you are looking at doing a very good work that will go a long way to support you in your future endeavors, in your careers. So that is it. I want to just show briefly. So just look at a sample of what this will look like. Yeah. So if you look at what has been produced, obviously your details is here. Then, so your table of contents, very important. Then, like I said, you have your introduction. Give a very good introduction, what procurement is all about, and our supply chain, the difference between procurement and purchasing will help. Then you set out on what you want to do. Then part A, talk about the analysis. So what are the factors that come there? You mention them briefly. Explain the main concept of sourcing. You look at all these factors, including developing the strategy, coming up with your requirements, working very closely with the end users to be able to get the right specification and all that set, so that when you are going into the market, you know exactly what you are going to look for. Your request for information is also in place. And that, so you're looking at policies and procedures. How does Export UK work in terms of getting things, rules that will regulate the way they work? And these are policies. So we are saying that policies as the guidelines, and the procedures is the act of executing these procedures. So it's important for you to have the policies, and the procedures will be how you want to execute these policies. We've mentioned several times, but the different structures that we know, the centralized, the local, or the individual, what's the name, purchasing, you can mention that. There's also the decentralized type, so mention all of them. Cost and price, you look at the cost and price analysis briefly, and like we mentioned, the RFQs and RFPs and RFIs, you need all of them. You can mention them here. And how do you eventually develop a selection criteria, and how do you select them? So you evaluate, like we've said. Now you look at certain things that would get the suppliers to stand out in terms of operational capacity, technical, financial capacity. And we mentioned that all these are very, very important, because you don't want to set up a contract, then in the middle of the contract, the supplier comes and tells you that he's running into problems. So you have to test all these capabilities that they have to be able to satisfy yourself before you engage in a contract with them. Technology, we've mentioned it. So you look at the benefits of technology when it comes to procurement processes and procedures. What it does, the improvement and the error reduction and all that you mentioned them. So that sort of covers the first part, and the second part also looks like similar form. So you look at the various types of agreements that we have, the fixed, the time, and the material. So all of them, you take them one by one, then you try to explain. But it's important for you to note that you get a lot of marks if you are able to make references to the knowledge that you've sort of tried to read. So whoever you are trying to cite, or whoever is going to give you any addition to the notes that you have, it's important for you to cite them in your write-up, both articles and the books. You have to try and cite all of them. So that is it. The portfolio analysis, like I said, if it's the leverage commodity, you go with preferred suppliers and the kind of relationship that you have to form with them. If it's critical, you go with the strategic. For routine, it's very straightforward, and you can always go for alternatives. So that is fine. Bottlenecks, you know exactly what to do. When it comes to then the conflict resolutions, the various approaches, you pick them one by one, and you also do that. Then the final one, which is quite very important, is the the supply relationship. Yeah, we've mentioned that value mapping is very, very, very important. So you're not only looking at cost, you are looking at other things, the top down, getting all the stakeholders involved now, and also trying to take precautions on the risk so that you know the possible risk and you've taken steps to try to mitigate them. Then the final one, which we mentioned, was the return on investment. How can you get the decision makers to come on board and help you with something like technology and spend? You have to get them involved in the decision making. It's good for you to get even the financial people to be aware of the benefits of whatever decisions that you are trying to make. Then you put your conclusion together. Yeah, so this one, you see that the conclusion is not too big. You are not adding any new information to it. It's just a summary of what they've discussed. So that is how it's supposed to be. Then you do your, so you do all your references, make sure that you have it. If you've got any appendices or any other diagrams or anything you want to add, you can just add them and you submit. So yes, all the best with your assignment. Take your time, go through the lesson notes again, look at the learning outcomes, then look at the assessment criteria, because they are the ones that you are supposed to produce. They are the one that you are supposed to produce, and that is what is going to give you the marks for you to be able to pass. So don't do anything outside the assessment criteria. That is what you are required to work towards. So look at the learning outcome, look at the assessment criteria, and like I said, the scenario is also giving us a specific role as the chief operating officer. So you are in charge of the operations. You want to expand into other areas. You want to engage new suppliers. So if you want to engage new suppliers, it means that you would have to do a complete assessment of what the product you want to take out there, what sort of suppliers would you need, then that obviously informs you what sort of information you will get from them. You do all the request for information to be able to have a full knowledge about the suppliers you're going to deal with. Are you going to do to look at forming a relationship with them for a long term? So these are some of the questions you would have to be looking at. The request for information will also give you a fair idea of their capabilities, of their financial strength, and also their capacity to be able to maybe support the numbers that you are, the quantities that you are looking at. And then when you get this, you evaluate, yeah, then you are able to select the ones that will be able to support you. And based on your commodities, you'll be able to segregate these suppliers into the various categories, so that you know that these are strategic suppliers based on the criticality of the item. Then these are for the leverage ones, bottleneck, and the routine ones. And because of that, you'll be able to at least manage them. Yeah, so that your efforts are really directed to the areas that are important. But what should run through the whole essay is the fact that procurement processes which are efficient by way of knowing the requirement, selecting the right suppliers, getting the right technology, managing the relationship in the right way, reduce cost, and it provides value in the supply chain. Yeah, so that is the main thing that should run through your essay. That at the end of the day, if you're able to put all these in place, you would be able to save the company money. You'll be able to reduce costs. You'll be able to maintain relationships, and which means that your supplier sources will be stable, and there will not be any distractions to your supply chain operations, and production flow will not be interrupted. That will not affect the what is the name, customer service requirements. You'll be able to produce a full capacity for your customers to also stay with you. So this is what you should be looking at in your presentation. And I think if you go along these lines, you would definitely get your pass. So all the best for the assignment, and I would catch up with you another time. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.